Welcome to the Backdoor Fantasy Sports Podcast with Russo and Jordy.
What's up, guys? It's Russo and Jordy with Backdoor Fantasy Sports. It's Tuesday, September 3rd, and we're just 2 days away from football. Super pumped. We have games on Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and Monday. Friday, we've got, I believe it's on Peacock. They're having their first game in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I think it's the first time. That should be interesting, but just super excited for a long weekend of football. If you haven't seen what's going on over at Underdog too, they just dropped their promo calendar today, and they're running specials every day of the week. If you haven't signed up for Underdog Fantasy yet, it's a killer DFS platform. And if you use code BACKDOOR, they're going to give you a free pick to get you started on top of all those specials they're running, and up to $1,000 in bonus cash with your first deposit. So definitely take advantage of that. There's a link in the description. And if it asks you for a code, just use code BACKDOOR. That's our partners over there. Super excited to be partnered up with Underdog. We're going to talk a little bit of news to get us started. And then we're going to jump into the trending players on Sleeper, which will typically be our waiver wire show on Tuesdays. But since the season hasn't started, we're just going to go over, just do a breakdown of what's trending on Sleeper, give you our takes on those players.
Sweet.
So, what should we start with for news?
Yeah, we can talk, Dak, I guess. He's kind of in the news right now with the contract dispute and, all that stuff going on. So, I don't know if do you have that article pulled up over there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so basically, like from what we understand, it's really just coming down to like how long of a contract they're willing to give Dak. He's wanting more than 2 years. They're not sure if they want to sign him to a deal. It doesn't sound like it's about the money as much as the security of a longer contract. And I'm kind of siding with Dak on this one a little bit. I don't know if it's just the way the Cowboys have ran their entire offseason with their stud players.
Yeah.
But if you look at the season Dak came off of last year, I think he's only 32 years old.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. How do you feel about it? I think that he deserves more than 2 years personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think my thing is there's no rookies I see coming in that are going to immediately make like a different sort of impact than him. He's in the veteran era of his career now. He played really well last year. He led the highest scoring offense in the league. So to me, it makes sense to just lock him down for 4 years. We did just give CeeDee, the biggest contract for wide receivers, but I don't really think that matters too much. Like next year, if he can wait till next year, I think they'll give him 4 years. I think they're just hesitant to lock another deal in this year. I don't know. We'll see. I think it just is. A lot of it's going to depend on McCarthy, I think. If like McCarthy runs a terrible offense this year and it all looks bad, I think they're going to point the finger at Dak. And McCarthy. I think they'll just let Dak walk and let McCarthy go. But that's just kind of the way it goes with them sometimes. It's kind of unfortunate, but hopefully they just lock him down for 4 years. But I think it'll probably be like a next year that we see something get done.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the start they had last year when you snaked CeeDee Lamb in our Dynasty League, it felt like a little bit of a slow start, and then Dak ends up going for 4,500 yards and 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. That's solid. And with the way they went pass heavy, you got to think, I think I personally think they're going to be electric again this year. Not much has changed.
Yeah.
The
I think we'll
defense,
be a top 5 offense easily.
Yeah, you would think so. Hopefully, the defense should be, if they're healthier, if they can stay healthy, that kind of became a problem last year. So maybe that was part of that back half of the year, them just having to rely on putting up a ton of points. But you have CeeDee happy now, still no dominant run game. We're still waiting to see what happens there. So yeah, I don't know. I definitely am more on the Dak side, but yeah, hopefully it just doesn't affect, it doesn't seem like he's going to be doing like a holdout or anything like that.
Yeah, I think too, like with a lot of that, I think is McCarthy at the same time, because like last year after week 6, they played the Chargers and they lost. And they were like, McCarthy came out and he was like, F it, we're going to play football. And after that, CeeDee Lamb never had under double-digit targets and was averaging like 30 fantasy points per week. So it was like they kind of just went air raid, So hopefully that's the approach they have this year without having to take those silly losses like when we lost to the Cardinals and stuff like that. That should have never happened. Sorry to say that to you, but they
oh no,
yeah, it
absolutely should have happened because the Cardinals are awesome. But do you remember what that trade was that you did in that window?
Yeah, I actually have it pulled up right here. So this was
poor guy.
This
poor
was
Bobby
on October 18th of last year. So that was like week 4 or 5 around there. So
it was before the breakout.
Yeah.
Right. Like you timed it right before the breakout, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I sat 1 week with him, and he had a bad game, and then they went nuclear, and he was the wide receiver 1 on the entire year. But the trade was I gave him Jared Goff and 2 firsts for 2024. So those were 2 2024 firsts that he got to use. He actually secured Malik Neighbors with one of those, but that was not my pick because I ended up winning the league. But I got Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and a third. And I squeezed that third out of him. I said, if you put a third in there, I'll shake on it right now like I needed the third to secure the deal. And he actually did it. So unfortunately for Bobby, that was a great trade. Yeah. Yep. Worked out.
Yeah, it did pan out for him too a little bit, but it's just crazy to look back. And that brings me to another point. It's like I'm not like throwing shade at other analysts or anything. Like we're just getting started with the fantasy football podcast, but I hear everyone just throwing around numbers on trade value. I was trying to move James Conner, for example, and kind of like in the second round range, second round pick is kind of like what he was going for before everyone kind of caught up to what my gut was, that like Connor is going to still be the lead back. And unless he gets injured, like Trey Benson's not going to threaten that.
Right.
And also Drew Petzing, who we're going to be talking about here in a minute. The run game looked amazing. James Conner's last 5 games were insane. Full PPR, or no, it wasn't full PPR for us. It was half point last year, but he was 20 plus points a game in like 5 games straight to end the year. I think he went for like 33 fantasy points in his last game or something crazy like that. But so I was remembering that. And anyways, the point I'm trying to make is you have to know your league. I got more than a second for James Conner when I ended up packaging him in a deal to get Tyreek Hill. I did Tyreek Hill. I got Tyreek and I traded away Connor, a first, and Keenan Allen. Okay. And so my point is, I'm kind of taking way too long to say this, but my point is like, you have to know your league, because in our particular dynasty league, guys will pay up more. So, if I turned Connor for a second, I'm not going to turn that second into getting back the value Connor had. But anyways, let's jump into the next news article here. We're going to talk a little bit about the raving reviews that the Cardinals are getting right now, because Drew Petzing, he's an awesome offensive coordinator. The chemistry in Arizona, which if you watch our show, Jordy's a diehard Dallas fan. I'm diehard Cardinals. But Jonathan Gannon has just brought the chemistry together after that long stretch of things just feeling really weird under Cliff Kingsbury. And I was kind of skeptical of Gannon at first, but he came in and everybody is bought in, which I think chemistry is just so important. I know you guys know that, but it seems like it's still not considered enough when a coach can just bring everyone in and feel like even our defense, which is just like shattered. We got like nobody really besides Budda Baker, but everyone just plays their heart out because they're bought into the team. But Gannon bringing in Drew Petzing, their run game was awesome last year. It's sounding like Drew's probably going to get some head coaching calls next year. I hope he stays with the Cardinals because things are really looking up. But yeah, don't sleep on the Cardinals. Their defense, especially for fantasy, their defense is not going to be great. we're in a really tough division, but we've gotten a lot
just draft Darius Robinson though, who is a monster from Missouri. He's an edge rusher.
Yeah, isn't he like dealing with a little bit of an injury though?
Oh no, is he?
Mild. I thought I heard that he was. Either way, I'm not saying the Cardinals are going to be bad. I'm just saying they're not going to be a team that is just dominant on defense. Like their offense is going to have to click to win games.
Yeah.
And be very active. And we've got good weapons. Everyone's super high on Trey McBride. Marvin Harrison Jr. obviously is going to be. I think he's going to be great. Him and Malik Neighbors. It's like who is going to be the rookie of the year type of thing. Which who knows, maybe Rome Odunze will shock the world, and the hype is just stacking up for Rome right now, man.
Yeah, and the Daniel Jones preseason tape did not look great. So hopefully for Malik Neighbors owners out there, they got something under their sleeve, because it looked like a car wreck when he threw that pick six in the
Poor Daniel.
I know.
It's like their biggest hope is that he returns to the 2022 form. But either way, Malik Neighbors is going to get all of the targets. So both of those guys, you're locked in if you've got them. Let's move on to the Brandon Aiyuk contract, which Jordy is the owner in our dynasty league, which is like our most important league. We met up in the championship last year, and dude gave me a beat down pretty rough. I did make it there with Joe Flacco though, to be fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Aiyuk, locked in his deal, ended up taking less money with the Niners than other offers that he got. And what was confusing to me is he ended up taking the offer, from what I understand, that they offered him in like August. I don't know if he just had like a change of heart there.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the best landing spot for him, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, he got a contract from like two other teams. I can't remember the team. I know one was Pittsburgh and
the Patriots. Patriots offered him the most money.
Yeah, and I mean, when it comes down to that, like if you're a guy like him who just wants to win, I think your best bet is definitely staying in, San Francisco and just being involved, because I mean, we were looking at his stats the other day. Like if you look at his stats last year, this is a pretty wild number. So he played 14 games, and he had 105 targets for only 75 receptions, but he had 1,342 yards for 7 touchdowns, which for a wide receiver who's sharing the field with Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuels is a wild stat line to put up. So he's obviously super fun to have in fantasy no matter what, especially if you're in a full PPR league. I mean, every reception that he gives you feels like it counts towards something huge that he's doing. So it's a lot of fun to have him. I'm glad that he stayed with the Niners for sure. I was really starting to sweat it when I heard that he was going to Pittsburgh. I was just like, man, do not become a Cortland Sutton on me. I will cry myself to sleep. But it's
not excited about Russell Wilson and Arthur Smith.
No, I've had enough of Arthur Smith. I think you have as well, being the Bijan owner last year. So
definitely
things are not looking up for. I don't know though. I always say that with Pittsburgh. I'm like, man, their team looks horrible, and they always end up in a winning season. So I am a huge believer in the Steelers. I think they always figure it out. I think they always have a system. I'm a big Mike Tomlin fan. The dude is just a winner through and through. Like one of the best coaches in the league for sure. So I think we'll see them get another chip before he retires for sure. He's pretty young, I think, too, isn't he? Like, dude is...
I mean, if you look at Bill Belichick.
Yeah, that's true.
Tomlin could stick around for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also do think that I've been a little too harsh on what the Steelers are going to be able to do with Arthur Smith. I do think that without the trade happening, George Pickens is like back on my radar a little bit. Yeah. And I think that his ADP has sank far enough to where the Steelers could be better. Like Bijan owners like myself we just hate Arthur Smith with a passion.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Aiyuk ended up, it almost seemed like maybe just a little bit of a game of chicken. He probably really wanted the Commanders more than anything if he was actually going to move.
Yeah.
But that's kind of just nonsense at this point anyways. He stayed with the best team, and
Yep.
And it's like we were talking about it the other day. We saw this breakdown of like CeeDee Lamb's contract, and you're sitting here thinking like, oh, this dude wanted 34 million, and he's being a stickler, and then they settle on 33. It's like, what is all this about? But then what was it like? CeeDee Lamb's getting 34 million a year, and then after taxes, it works out to be like, after taxes and fees and stuff, it's like 18 million a year.
Yeah, I have it here. It says so after the 34 million per year, he's going to be making 18.6 per year because he has to pull out 12.6 million in federal taxes, 1 million a year in jock tax, 1 million a year in agent fees, and 800,000 for his Medicaid. So it's like that's why these guys, to you and to us, it's like, oh, who cares? He's making 18 million a year, but to them, it's like they're trying to, set up generational wealth, and they deserve it. I mean, he's a heck of a player, so for him, it's like he's gonna want every dime he can get, and he's just lucky that Dallas doesn't have a state tax, or else it would be even worse. So
yeah, it's like that's in a state with no income tax, and honestly, all of those fees didn't even sound that bad. But when you're talking 12 million in federal tax,
that's so
it's
crazy.
Like, get out of here. Like, don't get me started. But
we're all ready for.
That's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, so it does look like the Steelers came the closest to landing Aiyuk. Oh yeah, let's talk about Ricky Pearsall. Speaking of federal taxes,
poor Ricky, man.
It's like, man, I mean, it's just, we just had Brian Robinson Jr. With, getting shot in the legs and playing still. And what a scary situation, man. Thank God he's okay. And it's sounding like they're saying he's going to miss at least 4 games. We obviously really hope he can play this year. That's just super unfortunate. Yeah, man, I don't even know what else to say about that. That's just, I don't want to put a downer on the show.
Yeah, my brother keeps sharing that meme of Boys in the Hood where he's like, Ricky. He's like me if I was there, probably, because he's the Ricky Pearsall owner in our league, so he's pretty bummed. But I think
he just traded for him.
Yeah, I just traded for him. It's horrible, man. Stuff like that happening in the rich parts of cities. Like, the dude was just out shopping and gets robbed. It's just crazy. But thank God he's all right. Definitely praying that he gets back on the field as fast as he can.
Yeah, for sure, man. All right, let's talk about what's trending on Sleeper. So we're just going to break these down a little bit.
I actually have one interesting little news thing here I wanted to mention. This is out of Atlanta. It says Atlanta Falcons tight end Kyle Pitts is the most impressive pass catcher of the group in terms of volume plus ability. Says overall he's had a positive camp, according to Joe Patrick of the 92.9 The Game. Apparently he's a big reporter out there in Atlanta. So they're saying that Kyle Pitts looks really good. I'm not a big Kyle Pitts truther. He's burned me a lot in the past. But, he's got a different situation now. He's got steady quarterback play. Even if Cousins goes down, they got a guy who's ready to step in for him. So I think that's a pretty, if you're a Kyle Pitts owner or any owner of, that offense, I think you're pretty excited with what's going on over there.
Yeah, man. I really think, like, I would not be surprised if Atlanta just comes out and torches the league.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about the quarterback play, that the upgrade at quarterback, and like you had mentioned, we were talking earlier, even if Cousins goes down, they have a backup in Michael Penix Jr., who is way better than the quarterbacks that these guys have still dealt with.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but you're switching from Arthur Smith to essentially like a Sean McVay style offense.
Yeah.
So it could be pretty nasty. I when I was just looking at Kirk Cousins, his games before he went down last year, dude was just on fire. So I'm super excited, obviously, as the Bijan owner too. I can't wait to see what this offense looks like this year. But all right. So top trending player on Sleeper right now, Devaughn Vele, I think is how you say it. I believe he was a 7th round pick, and kind of interesting. 6'5", 210. I think he's got decent speed. But I mean, they let Tim Patrick go, And Sean Payton, I think we're all just like, who's gonna be that Michael Thomas in his offense? And I'm not saying that Devaughn is going to be that. I think if I had to make a bet, it's probably Cortland Sutton this year, but definitely an interesting prospect, especially when you see that kind of trending numbers, 156,000 ads. We also did come off of, the biggest draft weekend of the year so far. But I think it's pretty interesting. We don't know what that offense is going to look like, but Sean Payton, I'm a fan. He can definitely surprise us when he starts scheming and like when he gets his guys. He clearly loves drafting dudes late and feeling like he's the guy who found the diamond in the rough, and he actually is pretty good at it. So
yeah. And now he's sipping that Colorado juice, so his ego is even it's flowing a little bit more too.
He's one of those personalities, though, that I just think the league is better with him than without him.
Oh yeah, I grew up a Saints fan, like diehard Saints fan, and I kind of flip-flopped on him once I, really started to take football seriously. I was just kind of like a casual for a long time, but then I really started loving Dallas right before, like, I think it was like 2014 that I started liking them. But Sean Payton, man, the dude's got balls of steel. Like, I'll never forget being a kid and watching that second half, opening kickoff for the Super Bowl in 2009. And he did the onside kick, which is illegal now, but he did that, and it was amazing. And it's like, that's the type of stuff you want to see from coaches, and we're seeing it more with like Mike McDaniels and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy sports betting and daily fantasy? Well, Daily Grind is here to help you beat the books. They make premium DFS tools that do all the work for you, comparing lines across just about every platform, looking for discrepancies for you to take advantage of. Start off your research with their DFS Optimizer, a tool that finds all the best plays and rates them with their odds to hit indicator. Or if you'd rather have them make your entire slip for you, they have you covered with their AI slip generator. They'll even notify you when a new slip is available. Go to dgfantasy.com and use code BACKDOOR. They will give you 25% off your first subscription all the way up to a year if you want. That's dgfantasy.com, code BACKDOOR.
All right, so number 2 on the board right now is Dalvin Cook. And sure.
It's Zeke's backfield. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, Rico Dowdle has got this on lock. So, yeah, Jordy has Zeke in our Dynasty League. I have Rico Dowdle for a little bit of context. But this is one of those things where I think if Dalvin Cook does pan out and does well, and ends up taking on a bigger role, none of us are going to be shocked because of what he's capable of and the lack of any definitive, clear guy right now. But I'm probably like 80-20, 75-25, leaning towards this not being that big of a deal.
Yeah.
He looked terrible last year with the Jets, and I'm not buying the hype personally. Got signed to the practice squad. He'll probably be. I don't know. What else are we going to say about this? I'm not really buying the hype personally.
Yeah, I don't even think there's a chance we don't even see him hit the field. That's the way I kind of feel about it. If something freakish happens and Rico goes down or Zeke goes down or it's just not working and they need a spark, sure, maybe they bring him in. But I'm not even going to drop. Like, I think I put in a bid of like 8 fab on him or 10 fab, and someone went for like 20 on him. I kind of did the same thing with a guy who's also on the list, Emanuel Wilson, because I have AJ Dillon, so I had to do something, So it's like you have situations like that, but if I'm a Rico or a Zeke owner, I don't even care about Dalvin Cook. The fact that he's got this many ads is crazy.
If you're desperate at running back and you've got some players you're willing to drop, like, sure, stash him and see how this narrative plays out. Like, we're not saying don't pick him up, but like, if you're a Rico fan or if you're a Zeke fan, I don't think you have anything to worry about like
Nah.
personally. All right, so next up we got Jordan Mason, who we're both really high on, actually.
Yeah.
CMC, unbelievable, one of one. Like, we don't have to talk about how good CMC is. There's no one like him, just unbelievable. Jordan Mason has looked really good. If obviously you guys know the narrative, if CMC goes down, Jordan Mason is going to be a top 10 running back, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Scheme alone, he's absolutely won over that RB2 spot, and absolutely a must add. If you don't, if he's available in your leagues for some reason, like, you've got to grab this dude, and that's kind of what you're looking for. These workhorse running backs, especially in good offenses, like if there's a running back who's getting the majority of the snaps and he's like a 3-down back, you want his backup, because you're most likely going to get a high-end RB2 at worst, or maybe even just a RB2 at worst if something happens to the starter. So we don't have to go on too long about Jordan Mason, but man, is he impressive right now.
Yeah, Elijah Mitchell's out with the surgery, so it's perfect.
Yeah, and it's also, it says something about his talent that he was already winning that job, and we all know how much Kyle Shanahan has loved Elijah Mitchell over the years, and it's like Jordan Mason just won. I think it seemed pretty convincing that he just won the job.
Yeah.
New Orleans Saints trending. I don't know what to say about this. Like, it's a defense. Like, defense we don't really have to get into, like, because it's usually pretty obvious if you need help at defense, like the best options that are out there. Samaje Perine, I do want to talk about. I picked him up in our league, and I just, they didn't bring back McKinnon, which was at first I was looking at Deneric Prince, because I was like, same thing as Jordan Mason. Like, Pacheco is getting such a heavy workload, amazing offense. They're going to be scoring a lot of points. They have a solid defense. They're probably going to be running the clock a lot in the second half of games. But Samaje Perine, he does have the pass catching ability, 28 years old. But he's, with all the mental health stuff that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is dealing with right now, which, praying for him, we take that stuff seriously. Like, we hope he gets better. But he's taken some time away from the team last I saw, and it just looks like Samaje Perine got signed, and he's the direct backup now. I think it's Carson Steele. Is that the other guy? Yeah, Carson Steele. Yeah. Worth a speculative ad, similar situation, but I jumped on Samaje because I think that he is going to be the direct backup. He's got the pass catching upside, and I think he's like, he's right in that sweet spot. A little bit bigger of a back, not height wise, but 236, 5'10". He's a veteran who's going to be able to jump in there and, get the job done, do what Andy Reid wants him to do. So another guy, if Pacheco goes down, going to be a solid, weekly starter for you. So Keaton Mitchell trending.
He's actually out the first 4 games.
Who, Keaton?
Yeah. He's on the PUP list for at least 4 games, they're saying. He's got a knee injury. So I'm not sure why he's trending upward. Maybe it was right
Could
before.
Just be, let's see, working his way back from an ACL. I mean, he definitely dude's electric, has a lot of potential. He's only 22 years old. I think, there's a lot of you guys know this, I'm sure, but those of you who don't, a lot of times when a guy goes on PUP or IR, people will add him and throw him on the IR slot, and then you got to open slot. You can still get other players with, but you can just kind of sit there and it's not taking up a roster spot. And then if it turns into something great. All right. And then next up, we got Rico Dowdle. I'm happy to talk about this guy.
Rico Dowdle is out there. Go get him.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't understand that already, like, Rico Dowdle is all the reports are that he's the favorite to win the lead back position for the Cowboys. We still don't know what that's going to look like. I don't think like any running back is going to be like a workhorse, like 3-down back, but Rico Dowdle is the youngest. He doesn't have a lot of miles on him. He hasn't actually, I think he's in his 5th year, but he hasn't gotten a ton of usage. So he's still pretty fresh and, decent pass catcher. I think he's a pretty good blocker. And he's got the juice. So I actually got him free on the waiver wire like months ago. As soon as I saw Malik Davis, I think Malik Davis, I think he got cut or something. And I was like, cool. Like there's not many running backs here. You already had Zeke. I'm like, I'm going to grab Rico Dowdle, roll the dice. And it's looking like it's paid off at this point. So definitely get Rico Dowdle if he's on your waiver wire. Next up, we have Emanuel Wilson, which you actually snaked from me. I was bidding on him. This was when, and I actually put a lot on him. What did I put? I put like $17 for Emanuel Wilson. That's a lot. But that was when Marshawn Lloyd was already injured. And then AJ Dillon goes out. And then I'm like, okay, I'm willing to pay $17 for Emanuel Wilson, just because if Josh Jacobs goes down, same, you get it at this point. Like you want the backup if if Emanuel Wilson is going to be the backup. And then Jordy outbid me through like 28 on it, and I was really frustrated.
Yeah, I threw a little baby bag at him, but now it's Marshawn Lloyd is creeping his way back, so we'll see. If it doesn't pan out, it doesn't pan out. But as the AJ Dillon owner, who I like already was just kind of like feeling icky about, I was just like, I'm gonna throw some on him and see what happens, because there's still a chance that he has like some big touches or something, and Jacobs goes down and it turns into something, but it's probably just high hopes at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Emanuel Wilson, when he got some opportunities, he showed promise. LaFleur likes him, so I think he's worth a stash. Obviously monitor the situation with Marshawn Lloyd, and then Justice Hill, still trending here. I saw something where I think John Harbaugh had. So yeah, Harbaugh says Justice Hill will play a lot. This dude's got Derrick Henry on his squad, and he's talking up Justice Hill. I love John Harbaugh, but he's also said comments where he said that he thinks Justice Hill is a lead back. He's an RB1, and it's like, okay, bro. I mean, they run the ball a lot, so worth the ad. Maybe have some flex weeks for you, but I just think the coach speak is kind of funny. You got Derrick Henry, bro.
One person I do want to mention that's on the wire, trending upward, is Jalen Tolbert for the Cowboys. I think he's going to be definitely worth a spot on your team. I had him, and I had to drop him for I can't remember why I did it, but I kind of regret it now. But Tolbert, there's a lot of good stuff coming out of camp with him and Dak having a great connection already. Brandon Cooks is, older. He's still really good, but I think, this team was the highest scoring offense in the league last year, and they, had like an insane amount of air yards. So I think anything like that, Tolbert, if he's a guy who gets you, 55, 65 receptions and, a couple hundred yards, you're going to be happy with it. So especially in a full PPR league, I would love to have Tolbert. If you're in a deep league like we are, where it's like, okay, this guy's injured, I need a random flex, someone like Jalen Tolbert I think will do fine, so he's definitely a good stash.
Absolutely. There's a chance, he's the young gun. If he's got the juice, he could overtake that wide receiver 2 role from Cooks. And Cooks got a lot of touchdowns last year, a lot of with the running back situation, a lot of passing in the red zone. Similar situation with Demarcus Robinson. The Rams were just on fire for the back half of the year, pass heavy offense, and they do it all. They can run the ball well, they can pass the ball well. Stafford could have a sneaky year this year. But with Demarcus Robinson, it's like he kind of locked in that wide receiver 3 role last year. And then I don't know, I think Puka Nacua is going to be fine, but if Puka or Cooper Kupp were to miss time, Demarcus Robinson is going to be great. And then also their rookie, Jordan Whittington, I think is his name.
Yep.
I think I went past him, but another like I think that I don't know about you, but like after what happened with Puka last year, when I see a coach like McVay like excited about a wide receiver, it's like everyone's hoping to get some form of a Puka Nacua type catch in their drafts. And it's crazy because last year they had two of those. They had Kyron and Puka, that super late rounders that just ended up.
And Kyron's a great pass catcher too, and it's crazy how all these guys kind of work in and they're valuable in their own ways. And it's like, you got someone like Cooper Kupp who's been injured a couple times, and you got someone like Puka who's already shown a little bit of injury. I love the idea of stashing those Rams players because Stafford's that good, and so is McVay, that those guys are gonna get the work, So
yeah, and that's another good point is like we've seen them do it all. So Stafford, I mean, solid late round QB to snag. I think everyone knows about Jaleel McLaughlin, like solid, he's gonna have a role. He did look absolutely electric. Colby Parkinson, I'll talk about him for a minute because I actually picked him up. He's been getting picked up. He's been trending for a while now, but the dude got a bag, and we're talking about this Rams offense and $22.5 million just out of nowhere, like I was just kind of shocked when I saw that. And, it's kind of like follow the money. I don't know how much that's guaranteed, but still, we know Tyler Higbee's out for probably at least a month. So if you are desperate at tight end, or if you're like me, I've got Trey McBride and I want to just see what's going on here with Colby. So I had room on my bench. So he's my backup. But I think I'm curious. I know people are both ways, like he's not going to be anything, but if he can get you some of those Higbee weeks that we've seen in the past, like solid, especially if your league is thin at tight end. Hassan Haskins is trending. It's just another one of those roll of the dice. Like everyone wants to take a chance on which running back, because you've got like, what's his name? Edwards. I'm just spacing right now. Really tired. Been up since like 5. But and then J.K. Dobbins, who I'm actually, dude, I've really come around. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Like I think J.K. Dobbins I'm starting to believe like if he stays healthy, he's going to take over this backfield and it's going to be nasty. People like the dude Bobby in our league who drafted him a long time ago and has just been sitting waiting. I think it's going to pay off. And if you want to take a chance, like if Dobbins goes down, if Edwards, gets banged up, any of these running backs that get a chance, I think that's probably why he's trending, because he got signed.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like we've covered a lot, so we don't have to do the entire thing. But when we do our normal Tuesday show, we'll just be talking about the waiver wire ads we're into. But we just wanted to put something out, kind of just talking about what's trending on Sleeper right now. Speaking of Sleeper, if you haven't signed up for Sleeper yet, for Sleeper Picks, if it's available in your state, use code BACKDOOR. You get a deposit match up to $100, 100% deposit match. It's a lot of fun. And this time of year, especially for football, I just like having Sleeper Picks available because it's so convenient, because while you're like setting your lineups, you can see the lines. And it's just fun to go. They have plays as low as $1. There's a link in the description if you guys are looking to sign up for Sleeper Picks. But yeah, 100% deposit match. Use code BACKDOOR. But yeah, that's just a lot of fun when I'm building up, going over my roster for the week and getting my starters set. I always end up seeing these lines. I'm like, I'm gonna put together a little line real quick, little slip. But was there anyone else you wanted to cover? Khalil Herbert. I think that's worth an ad for sure.
Yeah, I don't really think so. We're getting down into the dumpster fire here, so I think
yeah,
I mean,
Khalil could threaten Swift a little bit though. Yeah. I'm just not a big believer in Swift personally.
Yeah, I think Swift will just serve his purpose like he always does. He's there. He's gonna have some big weeks, and he's gonna have most of his weeks are gonna look pretty mid, but. Just see what's out on your waiver wire. If there's some value out there, if you guys are in like a 10-man league and there's a lot of value, just search around. But if you're in a deep league, a lot of these guys do matter. Like, you're probably sitting here like laughing at the Justice Hill and all that stuff, but you'd be surprised. We've seen last year the Ravens backfield got gutted cleans, and it was like down to those guys. They even brought in Kenyon Drake again, and it was like, so a lot of those things do matter. So definitely see what's out on your wire. If there's a lot of ads on it and if there's good value out there, just take a look around. You always want to be, the next guy up and taking that next step to winning. So it does matter. The wire is important. Like Russo, he picked up Flacco last year and made it to the chip with Flacco. So it matters.
Yeah, he saved my season. I had already started making trades in our dynasty league thinking like I'm going to start tanking.
Yeah.
And then next thing I know, I'm in the playoffs and Flacco took me all the way to the championship. But if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give us a like. We typically, like, we have our fantasy football show, but our main thing over here at Backdoor Fantasy Sports is player props and picks, daily fantasy. So we'll be dropping our plays for Thursday Night Football no later than tomorrow. So I'm very excited to get back into the NFL season. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We really appreciate you. Have a great weekend. We'll catch you in the next video.
Good luck, guys.
Thanks for watching this episode of the Backdoor Fantasy Sports Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop us a comment. You can also find us on all platforms at Backdoor FS.